to James and Michelle from the company WingXpand. They're going to catch up with us, tell us what they're up to, and what's been going on in their lives in the last year. And I will no longer talk, and I'll pass it over to you guys. Give us a quick background, and where have you been?
Thanks, Rob, and thanks for having us here. We really appreciate it. So James Barbieri, co-founder and CEO here at WingXpand.
And I'm Michelle Medeiros, co-founder and chief customer officer. And to answer your question, we've been everywhere. But to give you a brief overview, so we have a 7-foot aerial intelligence aircraft fixed wing that actually fits in a backpack. And that is designed not only to help our servicemen and women, but also on the commercial enterprise side, things like agriculture, public safety, inspection survey. And that has to do with our modular payload. And that's really where we've gotten a lot of attraction within the industry, is that we are so versatile.
Yeah. And the cool thing with our system is that it flies 5 times longer and can carry 10 times more payload than any other drone or aircraft that can fit in that size footprint. And so we really see so many expanded use cases for our customers out there. And we've talked to well over 1,000 of them this past year. I think we tallied up over a dozen trade shows in 2022 and already a couple under our belt here in 2023. And we've been so fortunate to talk to so many across the DoD and also commercial communities that are really excited about this new way of gathering aerial intelligence anywhere at any time.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to jump on is fixed wing platforms. Like the number of people that I talk to that don't realize the importance of having fixed wing versus quadcopters. And I think the reason why everybody likes quadcopters is because they're easy to learn, they're easy to fly, a little bit, and I think yours is still considered a group 1, right? Because you don't get to the point where you need a larger license to fly this thing. But
yeah,
the mentality of it is like, oh, I just want to buzz around with my DJI or my quadcopter or whatever, because those are pretty easy.
Yeah.
And it's relatively, the learning curve to learn how to fly a vertical takeoff platform is a little bit different from a fixed wing platform. However, the benefits to fixed wing is longer duration. And because you guys have such a long loiter time, that's huge. And a lot of people don't understand that. So some of the discussion that I have, I know some folks that are working with some folks overseas in some of the hotbed areas, and they're addicted to quadcopters, because they're easy to fly and they're ubiquitous. And it's usually the price point as well, right? So it's like, it's cheaper, it's easy to learn, and I can buy 1,000 of them. Yeah, or I can buy one that can fly higher, safer, and have longer duration and do the exact same thing and maybe get better effects, because particularly when you start talking about photogrammetry or anything that requires you to have like a steady picture for over a period of time, fixed wing is a much better application than a drone.
Exactly.
And I think it's just a matter of the learning curve, but I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing well. The other part that you touched on is customer discovery. So you talk to 1,000 people. There are some founders that probably won't talk to 1,000 people within the lifetime of their business, let alone 1,000 people in a year. And so kudos to you for taking that time, energy, and having the energy to go out and do that and to go to all those trade shows, because those customer touch points have probably, I'm willing to venture a guess, and I would probably put solid money on this, it's probably impacted the way that you design or that you market your product because of the feedback that you've gotten from your end users. But I'm just guessing. I would love to hear from you guys and see if that is actually the case.
100% correct there.
Yeah, I mean, that you nailed it. I mean, for us, the agile development of the aircraft and our capabilities, and also because every one of our aircraft has a smart computer on board, an edge AI computer that handles not only the autonomy of the aircraft, but also real world detection use cases, we hear firsthand from prospective customers across those user communities on what they need today. And so what we pride ourselves on is moving fast, being scrappy and developing new capabilities that are enhanced over the last one on the order of weeks, not months or years. And so that's really our advantage, is that we're able to, do those agile development cycles and really create those capabilities that are laser focused on real world needs today.
Mm-hmm. And so where I kind of come into it is the commercial side of things. We were enterprise users. The drone industry, the news industry was a very early adopter of drones. But often we found many of the same things. The flight time for a professional use case really at 20 or 30 minutes isn't enough. So that's why we set our threshold at 2 hours. The payload capacity, better cameras than what's on your cell phone. It turns out as a professional user, whether the news industry or you're talking public safety or even agriculture, you need higher fidelity cameras. And they need to work in all the weather conditions we do. And while, there are definitely purposes and use cases for multi-rotor or quadcopters because they're easy, we designed WingXpand with that in mind because we wanted it to be approachable. We kind of know what the issues are with legacy systems that look more similar to, a fixed wing design like ours. And we took that into account. We have a 3-page quick start guide because it should be easy. You literally throw it like a football. You preset your parameters, or you could do a custom, parameter, and you're ready to go. And so we wanted to make it approachable and really help people through the training process focus on the use cases as opposed to the operation. If I give you a cell phone, it turns out you know how to use it. It's almost intuitive nowadays. And that's where we're really trying to get a WingXpand to, so that everybody, no matter who you are, as long as you're Part 107 certified, we're ready to work with you and really make that easy and accessible.
Yeah. So again, there's something that Michelle touched on, and I'll toss it out there, Part 107. So Part 107 is very, very important. So this isn't just a platform that you can just toss up and start flying because of the capabilities. It's not because of it's not because you can't do it. It's because of the capabilities. And I say that because like a quadcopter, most people fly those within line of sight. So Part 107 isn't as big a deal because if I'm just tooling around the backyard or, in the empty soccer field behind my house or whatever, not a big requirement. But Part 107 is a huge requirement as far as being able to use the maximum effectiveness of your platform to do that surveying or do those video recordings and things of that nature. And I'll tell you, surveying is huge, and not a lot of people realize that, fixed wing survey is very, very important, more so on the West Coast than it is here. So I'm sure that you probably had a lot of folks from California and Arizona and the power lines and all those kind of open fields and things like that need those types of surveys. And that's huge because, again, you're making it easier for somebody who may not be they may understand the survey, but they may not understand the aircraft. So the easier the aircraft is to operate, the better I can get to the actual meat of the mission, which is doing the survey piece. So I think that's very, very important. And like I said, every time I turn around, I see you guys on LinkedIn with a new announcement. So I will give you a chance to kind of plug some of the announcements that you have. If you've got something going on that you want to talk about, that would be great. I think some of your successes in your pitch opportunities would be huge because a lot of our community gets a little bit leery, like, I don't know if I want to go do Tech Scars or go to SHOT Show or go to some of these events because it's a little bit daunting. And yeah, it really is, because you're going to have a whole bunch of people in your face, but the outcome maybe not. And as we mentioned before we started the call, it may not be in the immediacy. It may be 2 or 3 months from now. But leaving a positive impression on someone from a trade show is very, very important. But I'd love to hear about some of the successes that you guys have had in the past year and talk about, just the process that you went through would be helpful, because I know as a small business owner, it gets scary to put yourself out there. And it takes a lot of effort to do so. So I'll pause there and hand it over to you guys. But yeah, please tell us about your process and kind of what you went through and how you got to be where you are today. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, like we were talking about, for us, the number one most important input that we've had is customer input, prospective customer input, learnings. And so that's why we hit, the nature of our industry is that a lot of our customers go to these professional trade shows. That's where they go. That's where they expect to see brand new technology. And so that was so important to get those insights to make those products and our services offerings better. And so another part that we touched on last year is that to be a healthy commercial dual use business, that means that we focus on commercial and that we want to have a healthy business in all aspects. And that's why we did decide and applied and got selected out of over 600 international companies to participate in the TechStars LA program. And they're a global startup accelerator out of LA, where they really focus on the aerospace and especially defense and space. And it was done in partnership with the Air Force and Space Force and NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So many amazing mentors and contacts that helped create our business and make it even better. And so getting those inputs out there was really critical. And then we also had a really great accomplishment with getting an award last year at a commercial show, the Natural Disaster Show. And we were voted the most innovative technology of the year at that show, voted by our peers and subject matter experts out of over 300 exhibitors. That was a really great honor. And then more recently in January, Michelle can touch on, but we were at another honor.
We were just named top company for women in emerging aviation technology. I'm part of another organization called Women in Drones, and it actually umbrellas out a little bit more into robotics. But it's so important and so critical to see different ideas, different people with different backgrounds and mindsets come together and really help push this technology. It is nascent, but I think there are so many different learnings that when we all come together and bring our own backgrounds and perspectives, we're really building high quality products in a very unique and agile way. And I think that's something for us has really propelled our team. We push out updates constantly. We basically have a new aircraft iteration almost monthly and software updates probably more often than that. So that's been really exciting for us, and I think really exciting for our user base.
Yeah, I think that's also interesting just from a perspective. And one of the things we always talk about here in North Carolina, and you guys may not have heard it as often as some of the other folks have, is workforce development and STEM, right? We talk about this all the time. It's a buzzword across everybody's lips about, hey, how do we get, women and minorities more interested in STEM? Well, this is a great business to do that because you've got engineers involved. You got software development people. You got to do mathematics. If you're doing a survey, I got to be able to use the surveying tools and understand the mathematics behind doing a successful survey. So there's so much that goes into this, and having an organization that is positive, and believe it or not, I'm doing some work on this in school, and I won't dive too much into that on this because it'll super bore you and make you fall asleep. But the real part of it is building those communities of interest within the community. So as a business owner, like if I want veterans or women or minorities to feel more welcome, then I have to have an affinity group in there within my organization that they resonate with. And they may not fit with you, so that's okay. But finding the right fit is just as important. And so being an organization that's been, labeled as a friendly organization, regardless of what group it is important, particularly in today's environment, because people want a place to belong. And if I feel comfortable where I can, roll up my sleeves and work with other people that are like-minded, that's a big win for everyone. And you get more out of your people that way because more people are invested in the company. So it's not just a job. I'm not showing up, punching the clock 9 to 5, and then I'm leaving. It's like I'm truly passionate about it. And oh, by the way, because you guys do agile development, like it's not always 9 to 5. I might be working a little bit late sometimes, right, or there's a sprint that I'm doing. And so the more that I get along with the people on my team, the better opportunity it is for all of us to grow together and be better. But that's very, very important.
And I think those groups and those networks are really important because you do get a good variety of people at every stage of their career or development process. And something I've always found so just wonderful and beautiful about the drone industry is that, everybody's sort of willing. It's friendly competition, if you will. Everyone will answer a question. They don't wish you ill or harm. It really is hey, what can I do? Or, oh, I can make this connection for you. And I think that's just so valuable and really will exponentially increase the growth in our industry, which is really, really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And, I'll just tag on one little bit, but, we're all ambassadors, so all of us that are in these high technology industries like drones and UAVs, people are interested in these technologies. And, when you talk to somebody at a party or in a supermarket or a doctor's office, I've had these conversations in the strangest places. And, people love technology. They love this area. They want to actually get involved. And in some of these casual conversations, I've had folks get really excited to go get a Part 107 license. And so I think we have to find folks where they are. There's folks that are already kind of deep science and technology people that, are looking for a different aspect of the industry. But then there's folks that have really transferable skills. And so that level of openness to get everybody excited is really a really fantastic part of where we're all going in our industry together.
Yeah. And I tell you, my first exposure to flying a drone, I found a little mini drone at Walmart. It was like $20. That's how I learned how to, that's how I initially learned how to fly line of sight, because if I tried anything else, I'd crash it like terribly. But
start somewhere.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's starting somewhere, and then having a place where you're comfortable to make a mistake. Right. And that's the other piece of it. That's why, understanding how to do a CAD design and 3D print drone parts is huge. If you're especially in in an industry that it's more cost effective. Like if I'm going to fly this thing and crash it a bunch, if I can 3D print parts, it's way cheaper than, I have to buy this $20,000 carbon fiber blade from this specific manufacturer in this part of the world. Very different applications, but all for the same use of getting the aircraft off the ground. So I think that's very important. I love the fact that you guys send out your updates. And I think that's something that as a person that digests a lot of information about different companies, being able to just find it, or it's in an email like, oh, hey, we just did this. Oh, that's super cool, right? Because again, people need to hear those success stories, because I think part of the barriers to small business is the inability to hear a good news story. Everybody hears a horror story. Like if you talk to somebody in a small business, the first thing that comes out of their mouth, 3%, 33% of all businesses, fail. We hear that all the time. And that's taught in the Harvard Business School. So we know that's the worst end of it. But rarely, if ever, do you hear the best end of it. Or when you hear the best end of it, it's a big monolithic company like a Microsoft or an Apple or an Amazon. And so those are too big to fail. But there's a whole bunch of companies in between that have been successful that nobody really hears about. So hearing your updates is always encouraging to me. And I'd like our audience to pay attention a little bit more. And sometimes LinkedIn is a minefield, because you get asked to, hey, do you need somebody to build, t-shirts for your company? Like, no, I don't, but in the same breath, you get a lot of interaction in different areas. But I enjoy reading your reports and your updates, because I think that's just very, very important. And then,
thanks for that, Rob. Appreciate it.
And of course, without the shameless plug, I have to say this: how did DefTech help you at any point in your journey to success, even if it was a little bit? Just I'd like to hear how your interaction with us went, because we always are searching for feedback, and I always appreciate the blurb that you sent us for our end of year report.
Yeah,
which was super, super helpful.
Yeah, well, Rob, when we really were at the early stages, we got connected into DefTech and met you and the community. Immediately felt so welcomed and kind of introduced to this really vibrant ecosystem of folks that just want to passionately help companies like us and matchmake us with users in the community and others that could help the business and encourage us. And I can truthfully and honestly say that you guys were instrumental in those early stages and continue to be fantastic partners with us. It's such a vibrant group, and Rob, you do such an amazing job, communicating and really reaching out and being selfless with your time. And we truly always appreciate it. So yeah, I can't say enough. And honestly, we travel all over the US, and we often refer people to DefTech out of North Carolina as such a vibrant area. And half of them already know about y'all, but the other half don't. And hopefully they've reached out by now. But we're big ambassadors anywhere we go.
Yeah, I feel like I wear your bumper sticker everywhere. So I will say, early on in the conversations, you and I connected, and you were just a wealth of knowledge and resources. Immediately gave me all these kind of starting packets, so to speak, of these are some checklists that might be helpful. Here's how you do it. And, James has a lot of experience in the defense side of things. I'm relatively newer to that world. And so it really was kind of an indoctrination, sort of just learning the ropes. It can at points be a little bit overwhelming. And that's why it's so important to have groups like DefTech, where I have a human on the other side who I can send a note to or join a coffee call on a Friday and really feel like I get immediate answers to the immediate problems that I have. And so that's been just amazing. And I just get so excited that like you cover such a variety of topics, and if people are just starting to kind of put their toe into the waters to see if like small business contracts are a thing for them. I always first suggest DevTech because I think it's a really great way to kind of get into that. And depending upon it, even if you're very knowledgeable on it, there's still so much to take away because it's such a great collection of people that come across a range of experience level.
Yeah. And ultimately what we're trying to do again, and this is, we've kind of subtly announced it, we're also working on bigger relationships with government organizations. We're trying to bring Ensign and DIU and AFWorks, and we're trying to put them all in one central location here in North Carolina, because again, like we are the Silicon Valley of the East Coast. Nobody knows about us, and I say that nobody knows about us. You guys do, and you guys are great ambassadors because you communicate with us, and that's part of it. But it's also the relationship that's been built, so we've had the networking opportunity through the coffee call or through the connection online, but now we truly are in a relationship where it's like, hey, you give us information, we provide you feedback, hey, here's an opportunity, things are going on. And as a small business owner, particularly coming out of the last couple of years with COVID and all the restrictions and everything else, and getting your feet underneath you, let us help. It doesn't matter if you're in North Carolina or not in North Carolina. DevTech is here to support innovative companies, support in the Department of Defense. And so that's really where our passion point is. So if you want to do business with the DoD, let us know. If you don't want to do business with the DoD, cool. Come in and mentor somebody, because there's so many folks that just need help. Hey, I'm completely lost. I don't know how to write a proposal. What did you guys do? Oh, this is what I did. Hey, can I borrow a quad chart? The number of quad charts I've seen in the last 3 years is amazing, but it's also like, man, there's a lot of technology out there. And as a person that does this every day for the state looking for technologies, I could not imagine being in the uniform and having my commander go, hey, go solve this problem for me. I need a fixed wing platform that does X. Well, I'm not going to know about WingXpand if I'm, just an average person in an organization. Like my boss wants a fixed wing, like I got Pumas and Ravens and all the other stuff in the Army, but I don't know if there's a commercial solution that's out there. And unless I'm doing a lot of research, you guys may pop up on the top, but I'm not going to know how to communicate with you or connect with you. And that's one of the best reasons why DevTech exists, is because we can help those folks find you before they even know that they need you. And that's super cool for us. But one last thing, and I will ask you to plug anything that was kind of just helpful to you guys other than us, and I hate to say that again, but anything that you guys found helpful on your journey along the way, like is there a book or a mentor or somebody that kind of helped breathe life into your goals in the last year? Because I think that's always important, and to give people something to kind of dive into when they finish this up and they say, hey, what am I going to do next after I listen to WingXpand? One, I'm going to go follow them on all their social media. But the other part of it is what is the key to your success? Because not everybody has that, and it may have been a mentor or a book or something to that effect. But was there any one person or one thing that kind of helped push you over the top?
I would say that's probably people, and that's from every side of the business, whether it's the people and the talent that we have working in WingXpand, or if it's, mentors that we've had and we've met that have helped us either, shape our business model or explore different manufacturing options. That's just been incredibly valuable. And I would also say, even from a customer perspective, to kind of circle back around to that, we are really trying to solve a pain point. It's one thing to have a cool technology, but that technology really has to have a purpose. And you don't have that without a person bringing their problems to you. And, that's where I feel like we've found a lot of success, is we try to be approachable, and we want people to feel like they can come to us and have a relationship. So even if you go to our website, we try to make it very straightforward for a hard, deep tech product. We try to make it as accessible as possible and help people realize you may only want the end solution, but here's how you're going to get to that end solution, and let us help you get to where what your outcome is.
Yeah. And I would say, tell your story, tell your company story, tell your vision, tell what you think is your customer pain points. Tell it to everybody with ears. And, start with your friends, start with your family, branch out to, some of the other things that we've already talked about, the trade shows and different customers that DefTech will connect you with. But, that is the number one way to really get better. And you're going to get, you're going to get hundreds of people that say no, or hey, that's not something that I would do, or this or that. And, you have to internally build up that tenacity and grit that this is something that you want to pursue. And by the way, the more you start, telling that story, the more you're going to quickly understand yourself and with your co-founders and your team, whether this is something that you want to spend, 70, 80 plus hours a week doing for the next 5 years. And so it is a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of, tenacity and grit, but it's worth it. And, delivering something in the real world is always worth it. Getting customers that are excited, starting to get contracts, that makes it all worth it. But just keep telling that story and keep getting better.
Yeah. And I'll leave with this. One of the things that's the hardest thing to do is your 30-second pitch, right? People that do it for years have it down. And when they're done, you're like, man, that was like one of the most impressive things I've ever heard in 30 seconds or less. Like, wow, but I think that's part of your story as well. So if you don't know how to pitch yourself in that 30 seconds, like if you don't have a good elevator pitch, then you don't know yourself and you don't know your business. Mm-hmm. So if you can't present those succinctly, it can really hurt. And like I was challenged a couple years ago, and it's funny that you say that, like interacting with people is very, very important. So if you're scared to talk to people in a room, go to Toastmasters, sign up for that, and do that curriculum. And the reason why I say that is because it will get you out of yourself and it'll get you comfortable talking in front of a group of people that you absolutely do not know. You'll get to know them over time, but that's customer discovery. So if you can do your elevator pitch and it doesn't resonate with the room, then you know what you need to change. And I really look forward to continue to supporting your success as best as I can. You guys are an amazing team. You're doing great work. We are glad to have had you do a little swing through North Carolina and come and see some of the stuff that we have going on. We really appreciate you guys coming for the WingXpand team, and that's how I have you saved as my email. But I really appreciate you guys coming on today. This is Rob Robinson for the Defense Technology Transition Office, and this is episode number 66. Great Googa Mooga. We've been doing this for a while, but we really appreciate you guys coming on, and this is always a treat for me. Catching up with you guys is always great because you always have something going on. And we talked about it offline, but I won't plug it too much, but look for another announcement. So if you are not following WingXpand, you need to, because there's going to be something else coming out that will be of interest to you here in the next few weeks. And we look forward to...
We're very excited.
Yeah.
We're very excited. We're also hiring. So if anybody's interested, let us know. You can check out our website, wingexpand.com, under careers.
All right. And you heard it here first. Like, you need a job and you want to do drones, WingXpand is looking.